Good evening to all the passionate faculty members, scholars, and students gathered this evening with a vision for continuous development in research domain. I am Gokulipriya, first year MBA student from School of Management, Dwaraka Das, Goverdhan Das Vaishnav College. Greetings to all on the third day of 5 days national level advanced faculty development program on the topic Emerging Research Trends in Management, which will guide the researchers, faculty members, scholars, and others in writing the research paper, enhancing your skills, and train us all to draw better conclusion from the analysis. We sincerely welcome our Secretary Sri Ashok Kumar Mudra, our Principal Dr. S. Santosh Babu, and our Director Dr. U. Amleshwari, and participants all across the nation. The research title for today is Scholarly Writing, Research Proposal Writing by Dr. Fazlunnisa, Assistant Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, University of Madras. She has graduated and published a publication in Indian or international journals and papers in national and international seminars, organized and participated in 8 workshops and seminars. Her area of specializations are information society, scientific writing, and knowledge organization. She is the winner of the Emerald South Asia LIS research proposal for a comparative study of research performance of LIS schools in South Asia. I kindly request the audience to mute the mic and turn on your videos. If you face any technical issues or if you have any queries during the session, kindly post them in the chat box as per the request of the resource person. Now, the platform is open for the session, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Gokulapriya. Before we start, I would like to place my heartful thanks to Dr. Amleshwari ma'am for remembering me. I mean, we just met once during a session at their department, and she remembered me and she's called me for this session. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot. And I would also like to thank Dr. Lokeshwari for being in touch with me and for reminding me whenever this session is there. I was a little busy and she had the patience to actually put up with me. I think I've still not sent her something she asked me, so she's got a lot of patience. So thank you so much for your patience and for organizing this 5-day workshop. Before we start, I would like to also thank the management of the DG Vaishnav College for allowing their faculty to organize such an important workshop, and in fact a pertinent one, especially considering the research scenario in our country itself. So it's a very, very good workshop to talk about emerging trends in research, whether in management or in any other subject also. But research is something that we have to go towards, and we really need to know how to do it. So in that way, I would like to thank the management also. So before we start our session today, I would just like to request to our participants as to what is it that they are looking forward from this particular session. So like the topic was already mentioned, like it is on scholarly writing, and it is on how to publish in high impact factor journals. So before we start off, since it's an online session, so if we are having offline sessions, we can have more interactions, we can talk to people, we will understand what their needs are and all that. So we will have one 1 minute window where all of you can probably just maybe use the chat box, or if you can raise your hands and you can maybe talk. Tell what is it that you are looking for in this particular session. So I'll give you the keywords. Okay, so we have a very nice enthusiastic participant here. We have Miss Suvarna Shanmugam. If you are here, maybe you can unmute yourself and...
Yes, yes, ma'am. Good evening, Fazlunnisa, ma'am.
Fazul, you can call me Fazul.
Okay, Fazul. Okay, okay. Ma'am, what actually we all, the teaching fraternity and the students are looking is that nowadays a lot of fake journals are coming. That is the only first thing. And second thing is that most of the research scholars, like if you consider universities of high value like Anna University, especially faculty from computer science and all, they will be given a list of journals.
Okay.
So, and the research scholars will be asked to publish in those journals. By the time their article gets published, that list will be changed. Again, they have to publish another article, and it costs a lot, and it is a mental tension, and it is it's a very time-consuming process.
Absolutely.
So this is what I would like to be addressed in this session, ma'am. I would like to.
Okay, so
get
you would
from
like to
research.
know where you want to publish. Where is it that you would like to publish? How do you identify the right kind of journals to get yourself published? If I
Exactly,
have
ma'am.
understood your query
Exactly.
right.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
How do you
much, ma'am.
identify the right journal? Answering your query. Anybody else? Now you told me, Madam Suvarna, you told me that in Anna University, I'm aware in Anna University they do specify they have a list of journals which they give. They have a check one, check two list of journals where they expect them to be published, and then you say that tier one, tier two. So then you say that they are not available in that particular list. Sometimes they've been taken out from the list, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, 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 ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Anything else? You can even post it on the chat box if there is something else. So, what I would be covering today, because I wanted it to be specific. See, we are here.
Dr. Faisal, can I just go ahead?
Yes,
So this is
please.
me. See why this specific topic means there is again a very big confusion between this UGC list,
Yeah.
UGC care, and again when it comes to Scopus, Web of Science, and you have PubMed and all these citations today. Google Scholar, we are not aware whether the Google Scholar has stopped citing or is it still allowing the citations to happen, how to get it indexed, because when it comes for researcher, for them it becomes mandate. I think UGC has now come out with some regulations telling that research scholars need not go for this mandate because there are so many predatory journals where it has become a very big market, as you know very well. So we wanted to just give the attendees, me, everyone, a very big insight on how to choose a journal for taking your research work to be published. Because what happened very recently was in a conference, few of our scholars published. They
Yes.
had checked the plagiarism. Actually, the plagiarism checker had once checked, and it is still in the internet showing that percentage of plagiarism where they're not even able to come down with it. So if you
Yes.
consider all these things, so I think it will be very great evening for everybody who are attending and who are
Yeah.
joining us to come out with some clarity. Thank you. Thank you,
Exactly.
Dr.
That
Faustin.
is the reason why I thought that I'll talk to you first, because I don't want to just go ahead with the presentation that I have.
I think Oklapriya madam has got some technical issues. Let us wait patiently.
Sure, ma'am.
Yes. I'm audible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
you are.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the reason why I didn't want to just go ahead with the presentation that I have. Rather than we can make it like an interactive session, and you can tell me what is it that you're looking for, and I can actually correct or maybe probably give you some insights on it. Now, as far as yeah, so can I start my presentation? Can I share my presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So as far as these journals are considered, like you're talking about UGC list of journals, Scopus and Web of Science, which are the go-to journals right now, which we have been prescribed to by the University Grants Commission itself. So unfortunately, we have to adhere to that particular list. We have to adhere to that particular list because it has been given to us. Now, why it has been given to us, this is a huge nexus which is going on. All these things are something which
So
we
as
need to
far
talk
as
about.
these
First we
journals
have to
are
understand
considered,
why we have reached this particular point. What is the problem? I mean, why have we been told to publish in these journals and not in some other journals? What is the reason for that? So first I think we have to kind of get an understanding of that. So if you are aware, okay, there was a time when please let me know if I'm not audible at any particular point. Is it
You're
okay?
audible.
they're
You're
audible.
audible,
Yes,
ma'am.
Fine.
ma'am.
Yeah, fine. So there was a time when there were no restrictions, and people were allowed to do research for the sake of research. So everybody did research because they wanted to do research. They wanted to prove something to the world. They wanted to share their publication to to the people, to the fraternity, and you wanted to be the first one to have done that particular research and all that. So that is the reason why people did research initially. And then there came about kind of incentives. People started giving incentives, and then you had this huge cold war which was there, which broke out, and then research started gaining importance, and publications started becoming important, and there was this huge phenomena of publish or perish, whereby either you publish, you share your research with the fraternity, or you your research dies, or you don't get any kind of funding or something like that. So then all the institutions, especially in India, how it took place was, initially, you just had to publish in a journal, and you were given the promotions or whatever and all that. Then they saw that everybody is getting published, everybody was having a lot of publications. So they said, okay, let's put some kind of a mark to it. So they said that you have to, each publication, each journal should have something called as the ISSN number. I'm sure all of you are aware of the ISSN number, which is nothing but the International Standards Serial Number. And you have an agency which provides the International Standard Serial Number. In India, it is provided by an agency called as NISCARE, which has its headquarters in Delhi. Are you aware of that? So anybody can apply. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Okay. Because I can't see the screen. I can only see my screen is shared. So unlike in Zoom or in this thing in Google, I think you can't see once you share it. So I was telling you, yeah. So this ISSN number was given out, and that particular time, everybody started flocking for ISSN numbers, and then the UGC came out with a list saying that no, it's not enough that you are peer reviewed and you have an ISSN number, but we will give you out a particular. So ISSN number in the sense that everybody around the world, everybody was trying to publish in an ISSN journal. Okay, it was very easy to get an ISSN number. You just have to fulfill certain details, and that's it. Your journal will be awarded an ISSN number. But it was found that a lot of academicians or researchers who are in this particular field, for the need of next promotions or for the need of any kind of a benefit, what they were doing is, it was found that they started their own publication, they started their own journals, and after 6 months or after 4 months or after how much ever they required. So there was a particular requirement, like if you want to become an associate professor, you need to have so many journals to complete it. Now also it is there, right? Now if you want to get your PhD published, then you have to have at least 2 in the care listed journal. So like that, it was there. That time they brought in some kind of a restriction. So the problem, what I'm trying to talk here is that whenever there is a restriction, people try to find some way or the other. And that's what happened. And there was a restriction whereby they placed that, ISSN you have to have, and people started going clogging and they started getting the ISSN number. But again, it was very easy to obtain the ISSN number, and it was not sustained. The journals did not sustain. So they used to get the ISSN number, publish the number of articles required, and then that journal used to be shut off. So it was not fulfilling the purpose of the journal itself. It was not fulfilling the purpose of scholarly communication, or or contributing to the discipline or to that particular subject itself. So that what's happened, where UGC again took note, and they said that okay, ISSN is not doing any help, so let's go for next one step ahead. And they brought out a list in 2008 or 9, something like that. They brought out a list called as the UGC, not 2008, I think 2011 or something, 11 or 12. Okay, so they brought out a list called as the UGC list of journals. I'm sure you're aware of it. UGC approved list of journals. Now, where did they take this list of journals was, they took from 2 very popular multidisciplinary databases, which were very popular across the world. And these 2 databases were not just normal databases, but they were also called as, they were indexing, abstracting, and citation databases. So this, what it means is that, indexing means it provides a location of that particular article which you're looking for. Abstracting means it also provides a summary of that article which you're looking for. And citation, this is the word. The citation means that it also helps in determining the quality of the article. Okay, unlike anything else, citations are hugely helpful in determining the quality of the article, which we will also talk about a little later. So they went for something called as the UGC list. Now this UGC list of journals, it consisted of 3 databases. One was the Scopus database, one was the Web of Science database, which were not from India, that was from US. We'll talk about these databases more in detail. And another database called as the Indian Citation Index, which was basically of all of the Indian journals that were produced here, which are being brought out by the Indian companies, publishing agents. Now, in Indian Citation Index, there were a lot of journals that were found to be spurious in nature. They were found to be having a lot of inconsistent, irrelevant, and duplication of work was found to be there. Okay, so because of which anybody could get published in those journals, because of which after a few years, okay, after once there was a news article. I think even in the Hindu there was a news article where it was published that about 5,000 journals from the Indian Citation Index were found to be predatory journals, and all this came out after a person called as Jeffrey Beal. He did a study on these kind of predatory journals. Predatory journals in the sense that you must be getting, as academicians, I'm sure that you must be getting mails from publishers who say that you want to get published just 1 week's time, so you can send in your manuscripts and maybe subscribe to our journal for about a month or something. So without any kind of a peer review, what happens is it's not just about payment, it's also about, there is no peer review that is going to be done. There is no editing of your journal, so nobody is there to review your article. So basically, whenever you write a scholarly article, there has to be a review of that particular article. So there has to be some expert team who reviews the article, okay, or a peer group who reviews the article and gives their comments or checks whether this particular article has been written in the ethical way, the research has been carried out in the right manner, and all the findings are actually true to what they claim to be. So that editing process is very important. So what the peer review does is just keeps off with the editing process. So you don't have a real editor in place in 2018, scrapping only those journals, and then again in 2019 scrapping the entire list of journals. Now if you published between that particular time, if you have anything published between that particular time when it was included and when it was there in that particular, in the approved list, then that will be taken up, because as a stand they have agreed that they will because you're unaware or that it is excluded. So therefore that particular time, that particular period, okay, from till June 18th or till April 19th, okay, if your journal was included and if you have published an article, then that will be included for your whatever promotion basis. But after that period, so if you have published in the month of October 2019, okay, and this list was stopped in June 2016, or May 2019, then, or April 2019, then it will not be accepted. So this is something that you should understand. This is what the UGC takes a stand on. And then later on, they made a careful observation and they said that ICI has maximum number of plagiarized journals or predatory journals. So we'll come up with something new for the Indian journals. And that is how this UGC care list was born, which is under the aegis of the Savitribai Phule University. So any journal that needs to be included in the UGC care list, again will have to approach through the proper channel, through the vice chancellor of the university, and then try to get it included into the list itself. Now, even in the UGC care list, you find that in 2020 that particular journal is included, and maybe after 6 months or something like that, okay, that particular journal has been removed. It says stopped from so and so date. Have you seen that on the UGC care list?
Yes, because once you publish and after 6 months it might not be there in the care list.
Yeah, exactly. So that also happens. So how do you choose a particular journal? How do you decide? How do you choose that I should not make a mistake, and how I should not select a journal which is not in this particular list? So it is pretty much difficult. It's not a very easy job. Like we are researchers, we're academicians, and not you people, because I'm a librarian. I mean, I am a library information science professional, so my job is essentially to know what are the journals where you can get published in. So my job is all about information sources, but your job is more about doing research in your particular area. So you can't be focusing on doing your research and also finding out which is the right journal to publish on. So that's a kind of a tough job. So what do we do? How do we overcome this issue? There are two ways in which it can be overcome. One is, first thing, when you're doing your research itself, when you're starting your research, when you're in your initial phases of your research itself, make sure that you choose the sources right for your literature review. Okay, because I find a lot of people choosing it directly from Scholar, Google Scholar, or doing their references right at the end of their research, not giving so much time to doing, or not only time, not spending much of time to perform a good kind of a robust review of literature. I see that this particular session also has the first day you were talking about literature review itself. So it's very important to do a good literature review, a review of literature from the journals or from the sources where you would like to get yourself published. So it's very important to choose those kind of journals. Okay, so before you submit your manuscript, before you start writing your manuscript, before you start writing an article itself, it's very important you choose the journal and tweak or write your article as in to choose that, sorry, to suit that particular journal itself. So how do we do that? So there are a lot of journal selection tools which are available. So this is what I was thinking of talking about. Okay, I mean, I was going to talk about the impact of review of literature and then research design and all that, because this is the basics. So if you're going to get your basics right, then everything else is going to go right. So how are you going to do your review? Where are you going to search for your articles? That's also very important, because that is going to play a major role in deciding where you get published. They have a lot of journals for management sciences. So if I would like to get published in Emerald, okay, by Emerald is a leading publisher from UK. So if I would like to get myself published in Emerald, then it's important that I also cite, or I refer a lot of Emerald journals. Okay, what has been published in that particular journal. And if I'm going to use that, you have to think a little bit like a businessman. Okay, so what the publishers want or what the journals want is, I need citations. I need to make sure that my citations for my journal or my publication becomes higher. It goes higher, right? So how will it go higher? Only if you as a researcher are going to cite something which has been done in that particular paper, something that is related to your work also. So you need to search like that. You need to identify the journal first, and then plan your work, plan your research according to that particular. I won't say that you should change your area of research or change your the entire your research itself. Research is fine, perfect, what you're doing is right. Just tweak the way you write it. Just make sure that you adhere, or you try to align it with the policy of the journal that you are selecting. Okay, so it's very important to select the right journal. So where are the places that you search for when you do your review of literature, when you do your search for the review? So that is very, very important. So you have to identify, you have to choose which journal you're going to choose your articles from for your review, and that is what is going to help you in publishing it, getting yourself published in those journals itself. So I would like to talk to you little bit about some journal selection tools. Okay, so there are a lot of journal selection tools which are available. So first thing, okay, let's just go to the journal selection tools and maybe I'll come back to this. Yes, so there are a lot of journal selection tools which are there, but my personal favorite is edance editing, which you can which I'll show you. But other than that, this is Jane is for journal author name estimator, which is basically used in for psychological sciences and biomedicals and all those things. But since most of you are from management sciences, right? So maybe I can just show you. You can go to this particular journal and I can show it to you. Most of you are from management sciences, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll go to edance. I'll go to edance. Okay. Journal selector. So what's the most important thing is select your journal first before you think of publication itself. Do not ready. What most of the time, what the mistake that we do is we get our manuscript ready. Okay, there's no doubt about your research. Your methods and your results are not going to change, but the way you present it will definitely change. So therefore, select your journal first. Select your journal first. Okay, so there are two ways in which you can select. One is you can use a journal selector if you're totally unaware of it, or you look at your review of literature. Where is your maximum revenue coming from? Which journal have you looked at? Which journal? Think about where you want to get yourself published. Make sure you choose those kind of journals. Choose reviews from those kind. I mean, choose articles whose reviews, you're reviewing the articles from those kind of journals, so that it will come in your references. Yes. Anybody has a doubt?
Yes, ma'am. There are two queries, ma'am, which has been posted.
Yeah.
Gokhlepriya.
Yes, ma'am. The first query was want to know which tool or technique to use for the data collected and how to get our article besides more. So that was the first question.
How to get an article?
Besides more.
To be cited more. I'll just.
Yes.
One second. I'll just see that myself. One second.
Sure.
Want to know which tool or technique to use for data collected and how to get our articles to be cited more. Okay. How to apply and get approval for a journal from UGC. Okay. Pin paid or prepaid? Prepaid or unpaid journal? Is it myth or pin paid? Pin paid or paid? Miss Harini, what pin paid? I didn't get pin paid thing. Data collection, Dr. Srinivas, I will not be talking about data collection. How to get your article to be cited more? Yes, I will be talking about that. We will discuss that now. I don't get what we meant by what you meant by paid. Yeah, paid or unpaid journal. Fine. Yeah. Paid journals, they do exist. Okay, not predatory, but paid journals do exist. Paid journals in the sense is like when you're talking about um, um, article processing fee. I will talk about that. How to get your journal approved from UGC, we will discuss that at the end. So right now I'll be showing to you about how to select a journal. Right now I'm showing about how to select your journal. Okay, is it fine? So we will just see right now the selection tools. I will be very happy if you could give me an abstract or a keyword, something that you have. Maybe if you have it with you, you can just post it on the chat box, and I can just pull it up so that you box. So an abstract, a small abstract, fintech. This is a word. If do you have any kind of a small, okay, influencer marketing? Okay, so you here fintech. Okay, fintech. I don't know if fintech exists. Okay, it doesn't result or anything. It needs more fintech. Or what was the other one? Influencer marketing, right? Influencer
Yes.
marketing. Yeah. MARKETING. Now, this eDance is a pretty good tool. They also offer not only this. Let's see. Okay, influencer marketing. So you have, so it brings you a lot of list of journals which are there. Now, if you have an abstract, okay, you can just cut and paste the abstract, because you can write the abstract in the beginning itself. Like I told you, your research is not going to change, your results are not going to change. Only how you're going to present this is going to change. Okay, you are going to just change the way in which you want to going to present it, so that you get yourself published in a high quality journal. By when we mean high quality journal, we're talking about a peer reviewed journal and indexed journal, which is available in one of the leading indexing databases. Okay, so that is what we mean by a high quality peer reviewed journal with an impact factor. Okay, so we will talk about what we mean by impact factor, what we mean by SCI. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And paid, what Harini was talking about, paid access. So what do you mean by open access paid? Okay, open access paid access. So there is something like that wherein we need to pay for publication. So we will talk about that also. So right now you can make note of this particular tool, which is called as eDance Journal Selector. Okay, so you can see here. So I just gave only a few keywords. Okay, I just gave a keyword, and you can see what it says. So there is a particular journal's name, the name of the publisher is there, and then there is an impact factor also for this. Now, what you need to see for, what you need to look for before you select a journal is, you need to look for whether it has a proper authority. Does it have a proper authority? Who is the publisher? Is the publisher a popular person? Is the publisher somebody who is there, or who is who's in this particular field for some time? Are you aware of the publisher? Once you know the publisher, then you look at the name of the editors. Who are the editors of this particular journal? So every journal will have some kind of an editor. Okay, again, a peer team. Okay, who is the peer team who takes care of editing for this particular journal? So you need to be aware of who's there, who heads this particular agency itself. So like for example, there have been cases, okay, where I get mails where I am appointed as an editor, or they ask me to join to be an editor of a particular journal or something like that, and that journal is all about journalism and communication, and I have no idea about journalism and communication. So how can I be an editor for that journal? So they just send you blind mails, and what happens is sometimes people get very excited by it. Okay, so just imagine I'm an editor of a particular journal, a very good, leading journal. I'm an editor of a journal. Then it's a very interesting thing to hear. So what happens is, like, you immediately agree, but then there is not even one article that is being sent to you. Okay, so you don't correct any article, but your name is there as an editor itself. You have to be very wary about such things. Okay, so just because you're going to be getting a promotion, or you're looking for some kind of a higher position, so don't accept such things. Make sure that you check the quality of that particular journal. Okay, and see if you are capable of doing justice to that particular work, and only then agree to be an editor. So there was this very popular case a few years back. Okay, of there was this magazine on e-vaping. Are you aware of e-vaping? Vaping techniques, electronic smoking, e-smoking, vaping. Have you heard of it? Can you
No,
hear me?
ma'am. No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So there was a journal which was on vaping. Okay, and one of a lot of, I mean, a lot of people were publishing on vaping. So generally, it was considered to be a very safe way. People started talking about vaping being the alternative to smoking, right? You must have heard of it. I mean, e-vaping, electronic vaping. It's electronic smoking. It is. It's not like normal smoking. You don't have nicotine, but you have a kind of a small tool which will help you to give the same kind of stimulation to your brain when you smoke or something like that. So and there were a lot of studies that were being carried out to saying that e-vaping is not bad for health, and it doesn't have as many side effects as nicotine smoking has. I mean, the normal smoking has, and all that. And there was one particular journal which was publishing a lot about that. And in medical sciences, how sure you have to be. Even a 0.1 error means that 10,000 people could die, right? So and then finally they found out that that particular journal was actually sponsored by, uh, um, vaping making machine company. Okay, so they were the people who were sponsoring publication for that journal. And one of the reviewers who was listed was one of a leading doctor from a diabetes center in Chennai. Okay, and when they reached out to him to talk to him about, you're named as a reviewer, have you ever reviewed the papers? He said, no, they just wanted to put my name, and I said okay, and they put my name, but I have never reviewed any paper on it. So you can understand this is what contributes to a predatory journal itself. So it's very important that you try to identify the authorship pattern. From where does it come? Who is the person who's responsible for it? So that responsibility, the statement of responsibility, with whom does it rest? So that is something which is very important, which you need to identify, and which you need to be 100% sure of when you are going to check for your before you start publishing itself. I'll just show you one this thing which I have just put up on the screen, if you can see. Yes, so you can see this. So there are two friends who are talking. Check it out. I have been asked to be a paper reviewer for next year's conference. So he says, oh wow, so I guess they consider me an expert in the field. He says, really, what was your qualification? I had published a paper in the same conference the year before. Well, that means that your paper was reviewed by people whose qualification was to be reviewed by the previous year's people, whose only qualification was like that. Okay, only 1 year. So he's just published a paper, and immediately he's been called as a reviewer, right? Do you relate to it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so it's very important to identify that. It's very important to identify that, and don't get into the heat of the moment and just grab the opportunity, but in fact look at whether this is something that I really deserve. This is something, can I do justice to this particular thing? And then you think of moving into that to taking up this is being a reviewer. Not only being a reviewer, but even publishing in that particular place. Just imagine if somebody who's just reviewed 1 year's paper, I mean, has published previous year, and he becomes a reviewer next year. Do you really think that he qualifies to review your paper? Do you think he becomes an expert? No. Experts mean that they have a lot of they know what's happening in the field itself, not only in India but in other countries also. So something like that. So you need to identify. So most important thing is go with the publication. You need to identify who the publisher is. So go with the publication agency. Who's the publication agency? Not just by the title of the thing, but with the publication agency. And when you make use of such tools, like you have, I'm just showing you one, Edance Journal Selector. So the same way I can also show you another one, Springer. Okay. Then there is Think, Check, Submit. So I'm just showing you some of them. I'll also give you a list of them so you can make use of it. So the first thing that you do before you, start writing your article, the first thing that you should do before you start writing an article is that it's very important that you choose your journal. Please choose your journal and then start writing your article. So that's the first step. Okay, that's the first step. Like, I'm not talking about the research. Research, what you do is perfect. Okay, everybody is good at their research. The only problem that we face is in writing it, in presenting it, and getting it published. So you have to identify where our problem lies. So our problem lies in only the publication, not at the research part. Research part, each of us is very good at it. There's no way that we can, we don't do good research. Research, we are all good at it. Okay, the only problem is because we face is in choosing the right journals and getting published in those journals. So make sure that you check whether the journal is a good journal or not. Now, if you find that the journal is indexed in SCIE, okay, SCIE stands for Science Citation Index Expanded. Now, like I was telling you, I'll just go back to the PPT again to show you about the impact factor and what we mean by by quality and all that. We'll come back to the predatory journal thing. So when you're talking about journal selection, can you I hope my screen is visible. I'm sharing the entire screen, so I think it should be visible. Yeah. So this is right? You want me to make it bigger or this is okay? This is fine. I'm trying to make this smaller. Yeah. Now this is okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. I'm not going to the large screen, so I'll have to keep shifting from one place to another since I'm not following one pattern. Okay. So, John, when you select a journal, you have to identify what is the focus of your work, okay, what you're going to do, who is the person who's going to be interested in. So don't just focus on getting yourself published. It's also important, like, how are you benefiting the society? How are you going to benefit the society by your work? Now, let me tell you, now since we're at it, okay, so you can see people, you're talking about UGC bringing out another list, and, we are seeing a lot of people, again, UGC has regretted this decision also, because the more you try to push people, the more you try to force something on people. Okay, so here it is like forcing people to get themselves published in impact factor journals and all those things. So you're forcing. So when you force people, then you're giving rise to some kind of malpractices. So once this forcing came out, then there was also a video which came out. I'm sure you must have seen that video on how people were selling thesis and papers outside Delhi University. Did you see that video? There was a video, there was a investigative journalism video which was made on people selling thesis, PhD thesis, master's thesis, papers. Did you see that video? Just close by Delhi University. You have not seen?
No, I have not seen it. I have heard that there are people and agencies doing, but not seen that video.
There are, in fact, there are.
Yes.
In fact, Amal ma'am, you're right. Actually, there are a lot of people. I myself, I'm as part of our entrepreneurship career hub. We had gone to university for their, to check their startups and all that. And one of the startups, you won't believe it. One of the startups was about publishing. Okay, publication agency, where they say we are scientific publication and we do all kinds of publication for you. You want to get published in a peer-reviewed journal. You want to get published in a impact factor journal. Come to us and we'll write for you. So all this happens because you are being pushed to do something which is not natural. Okay, so I think that is a very wrong thing to do, and that is why UGC has kind of now tweaked the thing, and they are not very much particular about the publications to be mandatory, not to be mandatory, but still they do insist on high impact factor journal publications, and for points or for higher promotions and for accreditations and all that. So they do look for the publications. Now what happens is uh, most of the publication agencies, the most popular ones, okay, are not from Indian, are not India based ones, okay, and they publish in a language that is foreign to us. So it's not in our own language. So again, people find it very difficult to express this, express their research work in that particular language itself. So therefore, these are the problems which we face. So we have to identify the areas where we face the problems and solve them, rather than go to these kind of agencies, because there are a lot of agencies which say that we will publish your work for you, or we will get you thing for of course monetary benefits and all that. So this comes up because of this, because this scenario is there because the UGC is pressurizing on publishing in these very popular and very difficult to get published in databases. So Web of Science is not an easy database to get published in. It has very high quality standards. The same way Scopus is also not a very easy database to get published in. So what you can do is you can identify Indian journals which have a good reputation, okay, good reputation, or try to do a lot of teamwork. I think if you want to get published, do not Indians are very very modest people also, and also sometimes we think that we are very smart, and we don't want to have a collaboration with somebody else. Two things. One thing is we are very modest, okay. We think that what am I doing? I'm doing a very normal work. It's nothing major. Even though you're doing something major, you don't want to show off. Okay, the same thing US people will show off like as if it's a huge thing. But we have done it every day. Okay, but we don't like to beat our own trumpets, especially women. In our country, we do a lot, but we don't beat our own trumpet. We just take it on, and we just keep on doing as if it's a daily work. But this doesn't happen in other countries. One is we are very modest. Even in our research also, we are very modest. We think that this research is very simple. So idella poi enna publish pannita. Those people would have done a much better work. But then when you read their paper, you'll know that, oh my God, this is what they've done. Oh, my research is so much more better. Only thing is we wouldn't have thought of publishing it at all, because we always underestimate ourselves. That is one thing. Second thing is you're afraid. You're afraid to interact or to talk or to express yourself, and because we're not very strong about the language itself. Okay, so that's also another problem. So one of the ways in which you can overcome this problem is to do a teamwork. Find collaborators, go for it, reach out, because we are the underdeveloped country, or rather developing country, and they are the developed country. So find out, identify some research partners from other countries, or identify research partners from across the world, across the country. Okay, make some kind of create some kind of relationships, or build some kind of relationships, professional relationships, based on your research, based on your area, which area you are interested in. And right now we are moving towards collaborative work, collaborative efforts. So they're trying to give you more points for collaborative efforts. And collaboration, mark me, it does help you to get published in good journals, in highly published, highly peer reviewed and impact factor journals. So you'll be able to get yourself published in those kind of journals. So if you're not able to do it alone, then make sure that you have a good collaboration network, or a good network with whom you can publish. And don't worry about being the first author, second author, and all that, because as far as Web of Science is concerned, or Scopus is concerned, all authors get the same point, same weightage. Same weightage is what we give as information professionals. We give same weightage to how many ever authors are there. For example, in sciences and in sciences, life sciences and all that, you can see that one research paper will have about 250 authors or 180 authors. Okay, so it's all the people in that particular team itself. So what we have understood is, first thing is that if you want to get yourself published in a good journal, then make sure that you do a review which is going to be in a good journal. Okay, whichever journal that you are looking for to get yourself published in, make sure that you choose review articles from that particular journal itself. That is clear? That is the first thing which we discussed. The second thing is, try to select the right journal. So based on the review articles, based on the publication from where they come, based on their authoritativeness itself, so you select the right kind of journal. And third thing is, build a teamwork. So you have a lot of researcher-oriented networks itself. I'm not sure if you're aware, there is something called as, let me see if it is there in this thing. Yeah. So all of these are for researcher-oriented networks. Okay, so which will help you also to increase the size of work also. So you have Google Scholar is one of the last things which I would keep. Okay, Google Scholar is also good, whereby you'll if it's an open access publication. I'll come back to open access again. Okay, so open access publication, then you'll be able to do it through that. But then you should create an ORCID ID. Again, it's free of cost. Okay, ORCID ID is for connecting people. You can create an ORCID ID. You can create a Publons ID, which is nothing but researcher ID, which is given by Web of Science database itself. I'll show you both the databases. You can be on ResearchGate. Again, ResearchGate is not a source. Okay, a lot of people confuse ResearchGate for a source. It is not like Google or Wikipedia, or I'm sorry, it's not a search engine or a source itself. Okay, like Scopus or like any other thing. But ResearchGate is in fact a social medium where researchers share their articles. Okay, and not all of the articles that are shared on ResearchGate are authentic articles, because they are being shared by the researchers themselves, by the academicians, by the people themselves. Okay, it's more like a social networking place for the researcher community. Am I clear? Or create an author profile on Scopus. You can create an author profile on Scopus. You can also use the archive.org, which will archive again, it is a very good source to organize the preprints of research articles that have been published. So archive is also a good place. So you can choose. So you try to be in these kind of platforms where you can connect with people from across the world, from across different disciplines, cutting across areas, and you can work with them, and that will help you get published in good journals. So don't be afraid, and don't be in a hurry to get yourself published. Okay, so don't work till the last minute. That's what I mean. Okay, so don't be in a hurry to get yourself published. So what you need to do is you need to have a plan, focus on your work which you would like to do. And even if you're going to publish one article in a year, make sure that it counts rather than 10 articles or rather than 5 articles. Make sure that one article counts. Make sure that one article is published in a journal which you are really proud of. Okay, so now that is enough rather than the 10 useless ones. Okay, one article, if you're going to really focus on and write it and get yourself published in a peer reviewed journal which is indexed, then it is your job is done. You get points which are equal to that. So that is more than enough. So focus on getting yourself published in such journals. Now, how do you identify? Okay, so the problem is, like, even if it is sometimes, even if it is Scopus journal also. Okay, so sometimes even if it is Scopus journal also, there is a scare of it being a predatory journal. So I'll just show it to you once, and then we'll go back to it. So this is okay, right? So we saw journal selector tool. So there is Edance journal selector, there is Springer journal selector. Everything, they just want one thing. You just need an abstract. So make sure that you give an abstract. Okay, if you give an abstract, then you will get the best journal which will be suggested to you. So I will go to Scopus and I'll show you how you should identify a predatory journal. And also side by side, I'll also show you another source which is called as SkyMago. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so let's just go to Scopus now. So a lot of people think, or they are, cheated into thinking that what do they show Scopus has about 44,000 journals, not only journals but also conference proceedings, okay, in majorly for all of the areas of science and social science itself. Now what happens is, so you can see here, so there are two indicators which are there. I'll just go back again to my slide because I want to show you something. Okay, yeah, so these are the basic indicators which we talk about when we talk about science indicators itself, which indicates the quality of the journal itself. So one indicator is called as the journal citation reports, which you can see here, journal citation reports, which is given out by something called as the Clarivate Analytics. Clarivate Analytics is owning it right now, and they bring out a source called as Web of Science. And Web of Science, a product of Web of Science is journal citation reports. Okay, so journal citation reports brings out something called as the impact factor. So impact factor is actually given by journal citation reports. Now what is impact factor is you can see impact factor is nothing but, okay, so it is the number of citations that are received in the previous years, okay, for the particular year. Like for example, impact factor for this particular year of a journal or of a person or of, it can be of any of the indicators or of that particular author itself, you can find out. But it all depends upon the number of citations that are received. So I hope you know what citations mean. So we have references, right, at the end of every article. So we write a paper, and when we write a paper, we follow a standard or we follow a style manual, and using that style manual we also render the references, right? We render the references. So those references mean that, when you're writing this particular research paper, you have been influenced, or you have actually, these papers, you have studied a set of papers, or you've studied a set of articles and not only articles, any kind of an information, and that has helped you build your research itself. So it's a way of giving back to those articles. So no research can stand on its own. So you need to, there has been some work that has been done previously, and you have to stand on the shoulders of those works that has been done. Only then your work will be accepted or rejected. So therefore it's very important to give references itself. So when you give a reference to a particular article, then the article that you have referred to will get a citation each, and this will not be done by any publication publisher and all will not be able to do it. This will be done only by a a publisher who's there in the field for a very long time. And that is why you have these sources such as Web of Science, okay, and Scopus. So these sources are, Web of Science is a separate source on its own, and Scopus is brought out by Elsevier. So they have access to the publisher information itself, and that is why they will be able to cull out all of these details. So initially it was started by a person called as Eugene Garfield, who we just saw here, who speaks about giving about identifying the quality indicator itself. So Eugene Garfield was the person who actually spoke about determining the quality of the article itself. And determining the quality, how do we determine? It's not just by the number of times an article has been read, but the number of times the article has actually influenced some other researcher to carry out his research. Either you agree with the research, you disagree with the research, or something or the other. Okay, when you do that, so that is when citations come in. So what he did was, he started an agency called as the Institute of Scientific Information, and there he started a source called as the Science Citation Index, which we just saw, SCI. Okay, and this SCI became very popular because you were able to cull out the references, and using those references you were able to tell whether a paper is more qualitative or not, okay, based on the number of citations it received. Okay, so how much has it promoted, how much does it promote research itself, a particular paper, research paper, how much of research does it promote. So therefore this JCR impact factor is calculated only, and it is suggested only by Web of Science. So Web of Science is a source which gives out the JCR impact factor, and not anybody else. So you have to be very sure about that. Okay, you cannot calculate the impact factor, I cannot calculate the impact factor. Impact factor is given out by JCR, Journal Citation Reports. Okay, so they are the only people who are capable of bringing out this JCR impact factor. If there are any other impact factors which are existing, okay, like for example, if you see these kind of names, okay, if you see GIF, Global Impact Factor, or IFJ, International Impact Factor, or TIF, okay, Technical Impact Factor, or just IF Impact Factor, all these are falsified metrics and they are not true. So you have to be very clear about it. So you can see here this site factor, they all sound very similar. Can you see site factor? So you can see all of them have an IF to it, but then it doesn't make sense. It has to be from JCR. Okay, so you have to be very sure. So when you're looking at the impact factor, it has to be issued by Journal Citation Reports. Is this clear? This is one indicator. This is one indicator. Okay, a lot of people do not know that, but please be aware of it. So JCR is one indicator, and this has to be issued by Web of Science. Okay, so this is in fact, this is a separate source on its own, and it costs. I don't know. Right now, I'm not sure, but a few years back, about 10 years back, it was costing only 3 lakhs per year. So I'm not sure now. So you won't get the latest journal citation report. You will get a previous year's JCR as to what's the impact factor of a particular journal. You will be able to find out. So that is one thing. Then the other indicator is called as site score. So you can see here site score. I just showed you something called a site factor. Site factor is again a false one. Site score is the right one, which is issued by Scopus. Okay, which is brought out by Scopus, which is what we were looking at. So we're not going into how you get to calculate it because it's again very technical. But if you want to know how it gets calculated, please let me know. I will talk to you about how it gets calculated also. So are we clear so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
have anything that you would like to ask, please do feel free. I'll also show you Web of Science, because these two are the important journals. These two are the most leading multidisciplinary journals in our country right now, and India also. Increasingly, people in India subscribe to it, or in fact, they are very influenced by these two journals itself. Okay, not journals; these two databases. Okay, so you can see site score here, and you can see that cancer cancer journal for clinicians, it has a site score of 716.2. Okay, so this means that the number of citations that have been received, look at the number of citations. So this is by the highest number. So now let's go by the lowest number. Now what publishers do is, okay, so they apply for they apply to be included in the Scopus database, and you'll have something like this. Okay, so you'll have something that's NA, not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. So whenever you choose a journal, and if it says Scopus, please go to Scopus, go to sources, enter the title, okay, and check here. Okay, check here. What is it? See, look at the site score. Don't look at anything else. We just look at the site score. Okay, I hope I'm clear. Okay, please let me know if you're not clear. Just look at the site score and see what it says. If it says NA, okay, it says NA, that means that it has not been archived. It's not applicable. It's not been archived. I mean, it's not added on to the database yet. So, and if they're just going to show you this particular page, and if the site score comes as NA, please do not choose that particular journal. Anytime it can be removed from the list itself. Anytime this can be removed from the list. So you can see here all conferences and all that are there. So it says NA means it has not yet been added to there is no site score. That means you can anytime it can get removed from this list, right? Is it clear? Even if the site score is 0.01, okay, even if the score is 0.01, you can choose it, but don't choose a NA1. Okay, people, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'll show you. Yeah, even if it is 0.0, okay, and they have some kind of thing which has been said, yes, you can choose this journal, but don't choose a journal which says NA. Okay, that means that it has not been added. Anytime it can be dropped out. That list will go out. Okay, anytime it can be dropped out. Please do not choose that journal itself. So this is one of the indicators as to how you can choose. So even if it is 0.0, you can choose it. Some number should be there. Site score shouldn't be NA. Okay, so this is as far as Scopus is concerned, because Scopus, there are chances that some predatory journals or some journals, they have just started and they want to get included, so they may get included into the Scopus the sources list. Okay, they may get included in the sources list, but they won't be there added on to the database itself, since site score is not been given. So anytime it can be stopped. So therefore, do not include it. The other source which you can look for is Web of Science. Of course, Web of Science. So we have access to Web of Science at the University of Madras. Even Scopus we have access to now. So I'm not going through my my remote access. Otherwise, I'd be able to go in and show you. But I think right. So I'll just get into Web of Science and show you what are the sources which are available. Okay, Clarivate, you can be 100% sure. You can close your eyes and you can be sure that everything that is there in Clarivate Master Journal list, okay, it's all they have a very, very tough procedure, Clarivate Analytics, and all of them are once it is included in the Web of Science database, then it's very rarely removed unless the journal has been stopped or something like that. It is very rarely removed, so the journal will always be there. So they have a very closed collection, about 20,000 or something like that. Okay, so you can you can search for the journal itself. You can even click on the products and you can see the master journal list. Master journal list is free, so you can click on that and you can see, like I told you, the journal citation reports, it's not a free one, so we will not be able to search for it. But once you know the title of the journal, you can just go to Google and search on the title of the journal itself. The journal page itself will have the journal citation reports. But make sure that the impact factor comes from JCR. Okay, the impact factor should be issued by JCR and not by anybody else. Right. So another one, which is, these two are premium lists. Okay. Another one is Skymago list, which is again brought out by, it is related to Scopus. Okay. And you can put in the name of the journal and you will be able to get a journal ranking. You'll be able to get a journal ranking, and you'll also know if this journal is available on Scopus or not. So do you have any journal like that? National Journal of Research. I don't remember. I had some. I searched for something. I mean, a few. Journal of International Research. I mean, I'm not sure. There are so many journals now which come with research name title, right? Journal of International Research, Journal of this, that, and all that. So you can just search. You can search. Give the exact title. I have not given an exact title. Just simply typing it. You can see. So who's the? See, for example, Research International. So you can see the subject area, category. You can see the publisher, which is very important, and you will also get to see the H index. Okay, this H index is also actually. It was calculated. It was brought out by a physicist named as George Risch, and it was. Initially it was calculated using the number of citations that are being received by a particular author. Okay, it was mainly to qualify an author's work. Okay, it was to identify, not only based on the number of citations that he receives, but also the number of publications that he makes. So he was trying to balance it out. Okay, so H index is more of a balancing act between the citations received as well as the number of papers that are being produced. Like, for example, if one author publishes one paper and that paper has about 100 citations, but he has only published one paper in his life and that paper has 100 citations, then his his impact factor or his H index will only be 1. His H index will only be 1. Wait, I'm finishing. Okay, his H index will only be 1. So it is like, it's a way of balancing out the consistency in the performance itself. So that is what H index is all about. So you can see the ISS numbers there, the type, the coverage. Okay, so everything will be available in this particular site itself. Okay, what is the citation chances, how can you expect citations in this particular journal? So all of that will be available in this particular site. So this is Skymago. So you can search here also before you choose your journal. So the first important step before you're going to publish your article, before you start writing your article, in fact, is to choose the right journal. So you can make use of the journal selector tools. Okay, you can zero in on the literature review, where you're going to carry out your review of literature, those journals, and then you can search these three databases. I mean, these three databases apart from the UGC care list database also, to zero in or to focus on which journal that you would like to choose. Okay, is that clear regarding choosing the journal?
Very clear.
Okay, excellent. So now, before we go into plagiarism, I just wanted to talk to you about the COPE list. One second, let me just see. I hadn't put up this. This is, Beale's list. I'll just show you Beale's list also. So there's also this Beale's list of predatory journals. You can go there and you can choose. You can look in if your journal is listed in this particular list. Okay, Beale's list. You can go to Beale's list of potential predatory journals, and Beale's list also has a what do you say? A criteria. Okay, a criteria which you can just come here. You can see this. So retraction watch. So what do you mean by retraction watch? Retraction watch is, sometimes journals publish a particular article, and then good journals, like for example, Elsevier journals, or a very renowned journal. Okay, they publish the article, and then they come to know, later on they come to know that this is a duplicated article. This was already published somewhere else, or it was it was sent at the same time to two different journals, and one of them published it earlier and the other one published it a few months later. So then what happens is, once they come to know about that, they try to retract that particular journal back, or if they find that there was some kind of an unethical practice, or if there is some kind of a predatory material that has been found. Okay, so then they try to remove it back. Okay, so that is called as retraction watch. If your journal article is going to be retracted, then it will not be counted. Now the trouble is that retraction can be done only in the in accomplished journals. I mean, in peer reviewed journals, they can retract your journal and they can say that, no, sorry, your journal was not up to our mark, and we are removing this journal from the we are removing this article from our journal. Okay, they can say that. But if you have got published by mistake, also if you have got published in a predatory journal and you wish to retract your article from that predatory journal, that is not possible. So once you once it happens, then it's not possible to retract your article itself. Is it fine? Yeah.
Ma'am, what do you mean by predatory journal? Can you just explain once again, ma'am?
Okay, what do you mean by predatory journal? Predatory journals is like, okay, I'll show you. My PPT. So a journal which usually doesn't have any kind of a if it doesn't have any kind of review process, okay, a review process, okay, if it doesn't have a review process, and if it is on the open access publication without a review process, if you don't have whatever you give, whatever you have submitted, okay, without any kind of a questioning, without any kind of editorial process at all, if it just gets published as it is, okay, as it is, and if you are going to be paying some kind of some kind of a small amount of money or something like that to get yourself published, or if you are going to do some kind of a paid work, okay, it's not your work but you have paid somebody else to do that particular work. So predatory in fact comes under all of these things. Basically predatory journals are duplicated journals, articles which have not been through a kind of a editorial process which do not have any kind of an authority. Who determines the authority of the of whatever you have published? So that comes under a predatory journal list itself. Okay, I hope I'm clear. Did you get the answer for it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
And they also push you to, they'll tell you that, for example, they'll say that, you need to get yourself published, so please choose our journal, get yourself published as soon as possible. Okay, so like that they'll try to keep on pushing you. They'll ask you to, they're not true journals. Okay, they are kind of deceptive in nature. And they try to deceive the researchers that their research work is a good work. Okay, sorry. Is a good work and it deserves and it I'm sorry people, I'm just little distracted here, my daughter came in. Yeah, okay, where were we? We're talking about predatory journals. Yes. So predatory journals and predatory publishers, basically what they do is they don't tell the author what is wrong with their publication. See, whenever we do some work, we need to have some questions have to be asked. Somebody can tell you that you've missed out one of the pioneer papers in this, or somebody can go through your work and say that, okay, this is a good work. This you are adding on something to the existing literature itself. So something happens like that. So if there is no kind of conversation, nobody is reviewing your article, nobody is reading your work, okay, then what's the point of just getting published? So that is what predatory journals do. Predatory journals actually try to focus on the anxiety of the researchers, to get themselves published somewhere or the other. So they say they come here and they tell you that, okay, you want to get published, I am bringing out a journal, come on, you put in some money and then let's all publish, all of our work will be published without any kind of a review itself. So we don't, why should we go to him, why should we go to Web of Science, why should we go to Scopus? Who is he to tell me what my work is all about? So I know what my work is all about. My work is an original work. So all that is all about predatory journals. So they also, what happens is, unfortunately, because you pay for the work and you get it published, so therefore predatory journals mostly are on open access. So unfortunately it also belittles the open access journal itself. So there is a movement, okay, there is a movement among researchers, among academicians, where they feel that science should not be behind any kind of a paywall. It shouldn't be paywalled. Like for example, Scopus or Web of Science, it's a hugely commercial resource. Okay, it's a very, very hugely commercial resource, and not every agency, not every organization or institution can have access to that, and you cannot even get yourself published that. So they believe in making research open access. Now open access means that it will be on a platform which is free for everybody, and everybody can have access to the articles itself. Now what happens is, when you bring something on open access, then how do you pay, or how do you sustain the editors or the publication process itself? Somebody has to maintain a database, somebody has to feed the publishers also, right? So how do you maintain when open access happens? So what happens is, that is why money is pumped into research. So what happens is, in open access, the author bears something called as the article processing charge, the APC. So this is what Harini was asking about, whether paid is a myth or is not a reality. Paid is, this is not paid. This is for bringing out your research on the open access, where you, as an author, you don't pay it. Okay, you don't pay for it, but you the research agency or the institution or the organization for whom you are conducting research, essentially they should pay for it. Your research funding should pay for it. Okay, so that is called as the article processing fee. So you have some very popular journals. There is like Nature is on open access now. You have PLOS, there's PLOS, PLOS One, okay, Public Library of Open Sciences. Okay, so that is also on open access. So all of these things, they charge something called as the APC, or the article processing charge. Okay, article processing charge from the authors itself. So authors have to pay that amount of fee. It may it does range between anywhere between a few thousands to lakhs also. So it does range between that, okay, depending upon the type of journal and depending upon the impact factor of the journal and all that, because they need to pay for the publications and they need to pay for their editors and all that. I hope you can understand it, right?
Yes, we can
There's something
understand.
called as a gold open access, there's something called as green open access, there's something called as hybrid open access. So all these are various ways in which the open access itself can be available. Sometimes you have something called the institutional repository. So you publish and it is made open access only for the institutional repository, okay, only for the people who in that particular institution itself. So that is something which happens, green open access. Then you pay the entire fee and bring it out on the gold open access also, where everybody across the world, they are ready to, they'll be able to particular article itself. So this is different from predatory. So not every time somebody is asking you to pay, okay, it becomes predatory. But this is like, you're not getting published just by paying, okay, you are getting published, you're paying to get your article reviewed by some of the best. Can you understand me? So for example, am I clear, people?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just give you an example. You can just give me an example of what you would like to search on Web of Science. So we can search and we can just look at it, have a look at it. And show you open access also, what we mean by that. So there are a lot of open access sources. Anybody can just tell something, or shall we say, what was it?
Digital media.
Yeah, digital media. Digital media is very very broad. Somewhere digital media in management or in marketing or something else.
Digital media through LinkedIn. Yeah, okay. In marketing.
Okay. So you can see this. So you can see here, Okay, so you can see here 3 of the filters which are there. One is a review article, okay, which means review articles means basically they are we're just talking about literature review article. I mean, this is also a great thing. Okay, you can do a lot of review articles. Review articles means you need to just search those kind of papers where a lot of bringing the bringing the same area papers and then work on those papers. So that will be a review article. Okay, early access is just before, and then you have open access. Open access is on 69 only are available for this. So 69 only on open access. I'll remove the review article. So open access we have about 930, which is a very good sign. Okay, so 930 articles are on open access in Web of Science. That means so many people are actually ready to, they pay for it and they bring it out on the open access. Now, what happens when it is on open access is that you get a lot of visibility. A lot of people are able to see the articles. Full text of the article is made free. Okay, it's made free. And when people are able to view, when there is visibility of that particular article, that means there is increased citation, because a lot of people will be able to read that article, and when they read the article they'll be able to use it for their work, or they'll be inspired by it, they'll refer it, and when they refer it, the number of citations will also grow. So that's the funda behind the open access itself, and that's also one of the basic one-liners behind why you should get yourself published in a recognized journal. Okay, only when you get yourself published in a recognized journal, you will get better visibility. And when you get better visibility in that particular field itself, then it means that a lot of people will be reading your paper. And when a lot of people read your paper, then they'll also be inspired by that paper, and they will be able to quote, or they'll be able to refer your paper in their works also. So that is why you need to get yourself published in a recognized journal, not for any other reason. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So I think now we will move ahead to plagiarism, right? So we have seen as to what we mean by how do we select journals, and or what are the ways in which we should select journals, and how do we now steer clear of plagiarism. Of course, all of you know what plagiarism is all about. Plagiarism is nothing but taking somebody else's work and passing it as your own. Okay, so it can be even if you're going to translate it for somebody else's work, or if you're going to use it, if you forget to even quote somebody's work. Okay, so that also can mean plagiarism. So plagiarism is very predominant in India. Okay, and it is there's no particular reason as to why. Basically, I think I would like to tell that the reason is that we are taught like that from our childhood. We don't believe in ourselves. We are taught to doubt ourselves very often. We are a very humble set of people, okay, who think that what we do is not right and what others do is much better than what we do. So we are not very confident about ourselves, and that is one of the reasons why people plagiarize and people try to copy something from what others have done and try to pass it off as their own work itself. Next thing is you don't know where to quote, how do you paraphrase, how do you write something. So that is also one of the reasons which causes plagiarism. So there's not much enough skill. You're not skilled enough to write. Like I told you earlier itself, English is not our nascent language. It is not our language in which we converse in our day-to-day lives. It's a foreign language, and therefore it becomes difficult for us to write in the exact way. So we feel that what has been written, what has been expressed by somebody else is much better, and we try to copy and do a kind of a patchwork. Okay, so that is why generally plagiarism happens. Plagiarism can be of various types: direct, mosaic. Self plagiarism is when you keep quoting your work itself. Accidental is by mistake, but still it does resort to plagiarism only. So when you directly copy the exact sentences, okay, then it is direct plagiarism. Mosaic is when you copy here and there or try to change the synonyms, so that becomes mosaic plagiarism. Of course, the effects are: it is unlawful, it's unethical, it questions the academic integrity of the person, the quality of knowledge that the person possesses, and it kind of as a academician or as a researcher, it raises a huge question mark on your personality, on the kind of work that you do, and it spoils your reputation itself. So therefore, it's not really good. And in India, plagiarism is governed under the Copyright Act of 1957 under 3 sections. Section 57. Again, we don't have a special act for plagiarism or for to overcome plagiarism also. but these are the acts that are being used. One is to protect the rights, which is section 57, which protects the rights of the author himself. Section 63 and 63A talk about the punishments, okay, which is not again a major thing. Okay, so this, like I told you, 57 provides the author the right to claim authorship to their work. I'm not going deeper into it. I'll try to show you some of the tools of plagiarism itself. Okay, and section 63, like I told you, it talks about the punishment for the offense. Okay, and again if it is not for monetary benefit, or if it is not for any kind of it doesn't cause any major harm. Okay, then it can be written off also. Like, and when you're talking about plagiarism in academic setup, it really doesn't do any harm to anybody, as okay, doesn't do any major harm to anybody. Only thing is, somebody tries to get maybe a next level promotion or something like that. That's all. It doesn't harm anybody, so therefore they don't take it very seriously. Again, it's a very nominal amount, 1 to 2 lakhs, and you won't have a particular, if you don't give that money, then you'll have to stay in jail. So it's not really treated as a huge offense in India, as in, okay, plagiarism. But UGC has a stringent policy on plagiarism. But there are some exclusions also, like for example, all the quoted works. Okay, all quoted works, if there is a permission that has been given for the quoted works, and that can be exempted. Like, for example, if you are going to do in languages, okay, in languages, then you need to quote a particular area. I mean, you need to quote a particular paragraph and then talk about that particular paragraph, or talk about a particular uh, line or something like that from an original text. Then of course, yes, it is excluded. Same way, if you're going to talk about some generic terms, like in sciences or in mathematics, you're talking about certain equations or certain generic terms which are very, very common. Okay, so those things can be excluded. Okay, so all those things can be excluded. All of the references, the bibliographies, the front matter, the end matter, so all those things also will be excluded based on their similarity itself. So those can be excluded. So it's not a very hard course. So all these things will be excluded. What we talk about when we talk about plagiarism is, it shouldn't be there in your data collection part of it. It shouldn't be there in your data analysis part of it. It shouldn't be there in your discussion part of it. So that is the most important area where your plagiarism shouldn't be there, should not be there. And of course, when you write the review also. I have seen a thesis which was submitted where a person actually, what they did was they did the entire review chapter in quotes. Entire review chapter was in quotes, because once it's in quotes, then it's exempted from plagiarism automatically. So the entire review part was in quote. Okay, and but then the external examiner saw it, and he said that no, this is not done. So he returned back the thesis, saying that you'll have to rewrite it and resubmit it. Okay, so maybe you can cheat the system, but then you cannot cheat the people. Okay, so that's not a right way of doing it. So what are the levels of plagiarism and penalties according to the University Grants Commission? So it's available again on the UGC website, so you can also go up and look there. Anyway, if it is 0%, level 0 is when you have similarities up to 10%, which is like, okay, it's acceptable. Up to 10% is acceptable. Up to between 10 to 40%, then the student will be asked to submit a revised script. But again, it all depends from university to university as to how the university prefers to adopt these rules. I think at the University of Madras, it's 20% is the acceptable level. So 20 to 40, you have a time period within which you can revise it, and above 40 to 60, the student will be debarred, okay, from submitting a revised script for a period of 1 year. And similarities above 60%, then the student registration for the program will be cancelled. Okay, again, there are a lot of loopholes which are there, and people do discuss with people, and they do use exemptions and all that, and they do it. But then it's good that you are aware of the level of plagiarism and then work according to that. But the same things for the faculty, for the academic professionals. Up to 10% it's accepted, especially if it is found to be in an article, in a journal article. If there is a similarity of about 40 to 60%, then you are asked to withdraw the manuscript, denied one annual increment, and will not be allowed to supervise any master's or MPhil or PhD student for a period of 2 years. Same way, similarities above 60% will be asked to withdraw the manuscript, shall be denied a right to 2 successive annual increments, and will not be allowed to be a supervisor for any master's and MPhil degree for next 3 years. So these are the penalties, right? So how do we do a plagiarism check? So before we go into this, okay, let's just look at certain plagiarism tools which are available. Some of the free tools which I'll talk to you about, okay, not only for plagiarism but also for, I'm sure you must have heard about Grammarly, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, actually edance was one of the first to bring out a writing tool, okay, an author help tool. Edance brought out something called as the author help tool initially in the beginning itself in 2010 or 10 or 11 or something like that. They brought out a very good tool, okay, along with the journal selector tool. The journal selector tool came later, but the first tool which came was help with the editing, with the English editing and all that. And then now you have Grammarly. I'm sure all of you are aware of Grammarly, so I'll show you another one which is called as Quillbot. Have you heard of Quillbot? Quillbot is also just like Grammarly. Again, it's a good tool whereby you can it's for paraphrasing. So like I told you, we're not good in English, okay, so let's if we need any help, then you can use the like, for example, I'll just show you what it does. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, okay, and I'm going to write it here. I'm going to paste it here, okay, and I'm going to say paraphrase. So it will paraphrase the same thing and it will give it to me, but please do use your common sense also, okay. This is just a free tool which I'm going to show you. The same thing can be done with Grammarly also for free. Also you can do it, and you can even what do you call it, you can even attach it with a Word document and all that, and use it as a plugin. Sorry, yeah, the right word, plugin, and then you can make use of it. But then have some kind of a reading. Just don't copy this and paste it. So you should understand that every plagiarism checking software, it is just a software. It is based on some it's based on an algorithm which checks for all of these items that are appearing in a sentence, in a particular in a string together. If all of these words appear together in a string, then it will pull out and it will show you. But if it doesn't appear together in a string, then it won't show. So you have to have some kind of a skill in rewriting a particular sentence itself, which of course comes with time. It is not an easy task to do immediately. So you have to keep writing, and then you will get it right one day. And believe me, once you get yourself published in a recognized journal, then that will just become a habit. So the first step is always the hardest. The first step of getting published in a good journal is the hardest step. But take your time and put your foot down and get into that step. Okay, if you're not able to do it alone, then form a team. Do it together as a team. Split your work and do the work together, so that you will be able to get yourself published. And once you get yourself published, then the rest of the things will fall easy and it will become a habit. So you just need to do the first step correctly. So don't just go by it as it is, okay. So you can rewrite it again. You can rewrite, try to break the sentences, build two sentences together, okay, or build a big sentence into into two sentences. So do all these things, try to rewrite it as much as possible. So this is using Quillbot, which you can do. Then there is for over the desk checking, okay. Now see, I strongly feel that you will not need a plagiarism checker if you know what you are doing. If you know what you're working on, you will really not need. And there's only one place where you really need to do a plagiarism check, and that will be mostly in your chapter 1 and chapter 2. Or if you're going to write a paper, then it will be your introduction part and your review part, okay, because the rest of it you're going to write on your own, okay. Whether it's going to be the methods or whether it's going to be your data analysis, you're going to write on your own. So that shouldn't require for plagiarism check. But anyway, if you're going to use plagiarism checking tools, so that there are a few of them which are free, and I'll just show you a few of them. Copy leaks, okay. Then you have dupli checker, you have plagiarisma. I just okay, beans. Okay, yeah, I have to show you beans list also. So I'll just show you this plagiarisma. Or plagiarism checker is there, plagiarisma is there. All these are free tools. Okay, all these are free tools. Don't upload anything. You don't have to upload anything. You can, what you can do is see, all this is advertisement. Okay, so you can see here there is a small box. So I'm just going to click on the box and I'm just going to paste it and I'm going to do a search. Okay, so do not choose the file and upload it. Okay, you can do check the web plagiarism via the web URL if you are looking for a web website itself. So I'm not a robo, and check plagiarism and it will bring out. Okay, so you can see dupli checker is just a normal tool. Okay, it's not a very great tool, not like Turnitin or any other software which exists. Okay, this is a normal tool which is there. So it will show us. Okay, copy leaks, again you'll have to register. Okay, I'll show it to you. There is plagiarisma, then there is what's the other one? Where there's quick text. Okay, okay, copyleaks, you'll have to log in to do a check, but copyleaks, it also works across what do you say, it also works across languages. So there are a lot of languages which are also covered in QTech. Okay, so the QText and copyleaks. Okay, copyleaks also, so both of them. And they can also, it can also be you can also use it with a learning management software. So if you have a MOOC or something like that which you would like to choose, you can also use that here. Let's see dupli checker if it has done. Okay, so you can see here 20% still it shows unique. In fact, all of it we have copied from Wikipedia, but it says 80% is plagiarized. So this donut, you can see here, so this donut does a check and it says 80% of it is plagiarized and 20% is unique. Okay, so that's what dupli checker says. Okay, and it shows from where. So not only from okay, so 67% is from Web of Science. Okay, from Wikipedia also, and then there's another place which is another journal article where they have also spoken about this particular thing. So they have it. Okay, and you can even take the results from this particular page. Okay, so this is dupli checker. It all talks. This is all on the free platform. So the free platform, whatever is on the whichever web crawler they have or wherever they're able to search on the easily, that is what they will. That is what the free checkers will do. They will not be able to perform a very a comprehensive search, but it will be limited. It's definitely limited for dupli checker and any of these free platforms compared to Turnitin and Urkun. Urkun is also limited, in fact. Compared to Turnitin is the best. Authenticate is the next best, okay, which is mostly used in the engineering colleges. You have Authenticate, and what is used across other universities, other popular universities, is Turnitin, and most of the publishers also use this software called as Turnitin. I'm sure you're aware of Turnitin, right? Let me just see if I have it. If I have it, then maybe I can just show it to you. No, not here. The plagiarism free ones itself, I'll be having it. Let me just check. Okay. Okay. So this is, yeah, these are some of the tools which are there. So these are all free of charge. Okay, all of them are free of charge. Dupli checker, copy leaks, paper rater. Okay, so you can do, again, most of these tools have all of these three things built in together. They have a grammar check, they have a vocabulary check, and also a plagiarism checker. Plagiarism, again, 190 to 190 languages supported. So other languages also you can check, okay, if you have it. Plagiarism checker X, this is a good one. It'll also allow you to, you can download it and have it on your desktop, and it'll give you a report. It'll generate a report also. Again, you should be able to identify which is the part which you want to which you want to check. So as researchers, we know what is it that we are looking for, or we know what is it that we are missing. Okay, where our plagiarism will be more, so we know it, right? When we write a paper, we do know where our plagiarism will be more, which is a place where we have searched for. So you need to be truthful to yourself and search in those kind of areas for plagiarism checking itself. Plagium, then you have Plaque Scan, then you have Plaque Tracker, you have Quitext, okay, you have Viper. So all of these are very free tools which are available for plagiarism checking itself, right? So so how do you sell your paper? So it's very important that you sell your paper. Okay, so I've written that here. Yeah, so you have to sell your paper to the editor itself. So like I told you, first thing that you do is you have to identify your journal. You identify your journal, and every journal page will have something like instructions to the authors. Okay, submit your manuscript instructions to the authors. Please go through that, read those instructions very carefully, and do not do multiple multiple submissions, in the sense that don't send the same paper to two different journals. Now what happens is, ultimately there'll be the same even if you send it to two different journals, the reviewer might be the same person. Okay, the reviewer might be the same person, so they might come to know. And same thing, what happens is, you send it to one particular journal in their format, and then you don't bother to reformat it back according to the second journal, and then you just, once you're rejected, you send it back same way to the other journal also. So then they'll know that you have sent it to this particular journal, because the publishers are aware. Trust me, they're aware. They know, okay, which is the style manual that is followed in each of the journals itself. Okay, so therefore it's very important that you take in or you pay attention to the small details, especially when you want yourself to be published in a high impact factor journal. Okay, like I told you, high impact factor journal means you're talking about Web of Science journals. Okay, so if you want to get yourself published in a journal that has high citation rates, that has a good chance or a good visibility itself, so then it's very important that you spend some time, okay, in selling or in writing to the editor. Okay, so just don't say, hi, please find attached. Okay, so please be a very, very cordial. And sometimes I do find the students especially do that. Even when they submit assignments to us, there won't be anything. That's just the attachment. The assignment will come to you, right? Have you all seen that? I mean, there won't be a subject, there won't be anything inside, just submission, just the assignment will come. And sometimes they'll just say hi and submit the assignment. Okay, there won't be anything else. So don't do that. Okay, get accustomed to them. Address them by their name. Address them by their by whatever position they are in. So address them like that, and write to them saying that you would like to get yourself published, or you would like to get yourself associated with that particular journal itself, and you would like for them to publish, and you have been inspired by that particular journal, by the articles in that journal and all that. So talk to them, and definitely don't make any mistake in the name of the journal or in the editor's name. Okay, so make sure you double check and do cross check and do all these things, because it shows that you have put in effort to get yourself published in this particular journal itself. So these small things matter. It can trump you. It can give you the trump card in getting yourself published, because it's a cutthroat competition outside. Okay, when it comes to journal publications, it is not very easy to get published in all of these journals, especially with the international community and the national standards that have been focusing on high impact factor and Scopus, site score, and all those things. So when you're focusing on that, and you also want to be a part of that bandwagon, so it's important that you to tailor make your publication to suit the needs of the people itself. And write a very good abstract. And a good abstract is something that is going to sell your paper. So when you're writing an abstract, make sure that you include the right things. Don't give away your findings, but make them curious enough, make them inquisitive enough to want to read your paper. Talk about your methods, talk about your just give a gist of the findings, not everything about the findings. Talk about how you reached this particular this arrived at this particular problem and all those things. Okay, so talk about that. Don't be very repetitive about your work itself. So be very careful when you're writing your abstract. Okay, and always put in or pitch in something new that you have added on. what is not been what has not been done by somebody, by others. Okay, what is a new thing that you have found, or what is a new thing that you have, what is the innovative finding of your research. Okay, so try to give a kind of a gist of that into your abstract itself, so that it makes the editor or the reader curious to read your paper. Everything matters, right from your title to how you write it, or everything matters. Most of us, most of the time what I find in Indian journals is the title is very ambiguous. Okay, you try to include a lot of, we try to include a lot of jargons. We think that once you put in a lot of jargons it will become very attractive. No, the moment people understand or relate to the title, that is what makes it relatable. So try to, all this comes to your mind, all this you'll be able to understand when you do a good review of literature. Okay, so keep it simple. At the same time, make sure that you use the right kind of jargons at the right places, not full of jargons. Okay, and when you're done with your analysis part of it, make sure that you come up with a discussion and an inference part. Okay, make sure that you write do the inference part of it. Inference means you're just talking about the findings, whatever. Okay, like I did this study, this was a finding. I did this study, this was a finding. Don't finish your paper with the findings. What is more important is the discussion, the interpretation. Why this finding? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? What was the reason? So that why, you have to answer that why, or you have to discuss that why based on your review, relate it with a review of literature, and try to talk about why this happened. Like for example, in my paper, when I was doing, there was, mine was on scientific productivity of the, mapping the world scientific productive literature. So I found that Japan was one of the leading countries in scientific productivity, and 10 years later it slumped down. So what is the reason that something that was in a leading position about 15 years back, what happened after 15 years that they were falling down, or they were going down the graph? What was the reason? My another department, she told me that no, you have to find a reason as to why. Yeah, it has fallen down, good, but how do you justify it? What is the reason behind this, this great fall for a developed nation? Why did this happen? And then and China's rise. Okay, so then I found a newspaper article talking about degrading research in Japan, which was attributed to the degrading youth population in Japan itself. Okay, or the number of the number of researchers, young researchers in the country had gone down, and that was related to the research output itself. So this is something which is very interesting. Okay, so you go cut across the barriers and try to relate it to the society, relate it to how your work can actually provide back to the society itself. So and how you can enrich the journal because of your research. So something like that, you'll have to bring all of these in your abstract, which makes it very interesting. Again, don't give too much away in the abstract. So when you do that, then the editors will become interested, and they will want to read more about this. Remember, you are facing a huge competition. It is not an easy path. It is a difficult path. So there is a competition which is there, and you're going to take it on the right way and not through any other way. Okay, so trust in yourself and make sure that you present your work in the best manner. Mostly when you submit your manuscript, it will be online. So make sure that you follow the rules, read the rules, stick to those rules. If they are talking about bringing it out in a particular style manual, using a particular style manual, make sure you have those tools. Okay, like you have EndNote, or you have a reference manager tool like Zotero or Mendeley. Okay, so make use of those tools so that you will be able to change your references according to that which has been specified in that particular journal itself. So what do they want? How do they want your work to be presented? Okay, the references to be presented. So do it in that particular manner. Whatever they tell you, you make sure you adhere to that, and make sure that your references do carry a few of the references from their journal itself. So that also helps a lot. And if there is a rejection, okay, mostly there will be rejections and the rejections will be basically because of these reasons. Okay, one is if it doesn't fall under the scope and coverage of the journal. See, this is a huge myth. The scope and coverage of the journal is a very huge myth. I think that any article can be tweaked, okay, to meet the scope and coverage of a journal itself. So you need to know what to present or how to highlight your article. Okay, what is the thing that you would like to highlight according to the policy document of that particular journal itself. So you need to identify that. If it is under review at another journal, this is something which people frown at. Okay, so if you have already sent it somewhere else, then wait for the rejection from there before you send it to another place. If the writing is incomprehensible, you're talking about something now, then something else, and there's no flow of literature, there's no flow of style of writing, so that again is not acceptable. Okay, and if you're doing self citations, you're just citing some article without a relationship to that particular work which is there, which you're talking about, so that again, that also immediately they will reject it. Okay, if the references are not found in place, immediate rejection. Okay, that is if it doesn't conform to the writing style. That's the first thing, in fact. Okay, so because like I told you, people don't have time, so they're not going to look at your they're not going to read your abstract and all if it is not going to be adhering to their style. So first thing is make sure that it adheres to the style, because that's the first step where they try to remove it, and only finally they go to the findings or the results and discussion and all that. If you are not presenting it properly, okay, you have one chart here, one chart there, if it's not related properly, you're talking about table 3 and you have table 6 over there. Okay, so all these things, so give some time when you write a paper, and when you're sending it to an accomplished journal, a peer reviewed journal, make sure that that it is presented very neatly as how they require. What to do, most important thing, don't lose hope. Be hopeful. Okay, even if you're rejected, make sure that you make a go another time. If they give you some suggestions, then be magnanimous enough to accept the suggestions. Don't feel like oh, who are they to tell me what I should do, who are they to tell me that I should include this or do it this way. No, lower your ego, go back again at it, ask them what is wrong and why it's not accepted. And I attended a conference by the NISCARE people, okay, who are in charge of the ISSN numbers. Okay, so and there was one very senior colleague, and she very, very confidently she stood up and she asked, okay, that my paper, I have sent my paper to your journals which you bring out, so many journals are there, and 9 papers I sent, and all my 9 papers were rejected. Okay, and that person who was giving the talk was he was in a very good mood, and he immediately recognized who she was. Okay, and he said that your papers were rejected because of these reasons. One of the reasons was self-citation. One of the reasons was there was no relationship. Most of them were because of references. They missed out a core paper. Or one of the reasons was that the papers which they cited or which was there in the reference had no connection with whatsoever with the content inside. Okay, another reason was that the paper that they submitted, they had already submitted to some other journal, and they did not even bother to work on that, to rework on that particular paper, adhering to the rules of the other journal to whom they sent. So like that. And she was she asked such a question, okay, because she was open to asking such a question. She, if I was there, probably I would have died of embarrassment, but she asked that question 9 times, rejection. I would have felt very bad, but she was, you have to be like that. Okay, so your focus is to get yourself published. So you have to be like that, and you have to make sure that you somehow or the other try and get yourself published. And there is no shortcut to it. Okay, do not adopt any shortcut, because it will come back to bite you. Trust me, it will come back. Okay, so make sure that you do it the right way the first time you do it, even though you are going to work double time or 3 times or 4 times or whatever it is. You work for a lot of time, but still you do it the right way. Yes. So I'm almost done with the session today. So a day of what I would like to finish off is that a day of bad writing is always better than a day of no writing. So it doesn't matter whether you've done well or you've not done well, but it's always about whether you've written something or the other. So we don't get it right in the first chance itself. We need time, accept it, and do it again. So I think I'd like to stop here. And we can take in questions if you have. We've got some time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amleshwari ma'am. Thank you for sticking around so much time. Thank you so much. I'm sure you must have had a tough day at work too.
Yes, that was indeed. No, we were all glued to the screen, I believe, for past 2 hours. I think nobody from the participants who have joined the meet even would have had chance to take their eyes away from the screen and we were all clearly listening to whatever you have said. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Do you find any questions in the chat box?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Quillbot changes the meaning of the sentences. Yeah, that's what I told you. Quillbot is, again, it's a tool. It's just a tool. So it's not something which is out of it. So it also requires your work to be there. It helps you. It helps you with reframing the sentences, with paraphrasing the sentences, but it is not a tool to be totally adhered on. Yeah, I will share the PPT with madam.
How to get how to get our journal listed in
Yes,
UGC
ma'am.
care?
If you have a journal listed, you are from the University of Madras. Are you affiliated to the University of Madras?
No, Mama. Yeah, I'm working in GSS Jain College, and we have a college TQ journal. It has got an
Okay.
ISSN number. I would
Yes.
like that journal to be listed in the UGC list or UGC care list.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
how to apply for that, ma'am?
There are two ways. One is you can approach the University of Hyderabad, but again, they will ask you to come through your university. So you'll have to approach the University of Madras. You'll have to come talk to the Vice Chancellor and convince him that this particular journal is a good journal, and you have to give some kind of assurance. And they will write to the University of Hyderabad, which is a nodal center for South. And once the University of Hyderabad approves, then it will be listed under the UGC care list. So it is a procedure that you have to follow.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. How to work on metadata keywords? Vijay Deepika, can you please little bit, clarify on what is it that you're looking for? Vijay Deepika, are you here? If you are here, if you can just give me a little bit of clarity on what you're actually looking for.
Ma'am, can I just go ahead, ma'am? Because
Yeah,
myself
please.
and Deepika ma'am are doing this work for past
Sure.
2 or 3 days. We're trying to upload an article in a journal. So they were keenly asking about keywords. So we had few keywords and we are trying to place the keywords which is not accepted by the particular journal. So
Sorry, ma'am. I was just finding some network issues, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank
No
you,
problem,
Loki,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. It was a very great session. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was all the input which you gave was so we can't get it outside just like that, ma'am. So meaningful, ma'am. And my query was actually we were actually trying to publish our article in one of the foreign journal, ma'am. They were actually they asked us to enter the data on a metadata platform, ma'am. So I was not able to enter the keywords, ma'am. Is there any specific rules for entering the keyword in such type of platforms, ma'am?
Yes, there is. Again, if it is a journal that is asking you to, then you'll have to check if the journals have a specific they follow some particular format. Okay, what metadata in fact means data about data. So metadata in fact means keywords only. Keywords are a part of metadata. Okay, so something that helps to find your article easily. So do they have that particular journal? Do they follow any particular scheme? Okay, so there are a lot of schemes, like we have Library of Congress headings, subject headings. We have medical subject headings for medical sciences. We have certain tools which are already available. So do they follow certain tools? First you have to identify that. You have to ask them which tool they follow, and based on that only you can give the keywords.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So we
So you
just
have to
have to get in
identify.
touch with the editors. Okay,
Touch,
probably
get
we
in
need to
touch with them.
identify the keywords which the journal is actually working on.
Yes.
Their
Journals, what do they
manuscript.
follow? Do they follow a standard? Because there are certain books, there are certain standards which we follow to provide keywords, to provide the metadata itself. So the journal will be having it. So if they give that, then you can use using that you can present it.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There was somebody who was raising the hand. Mr. Manju Hosamani, sir, if you are here. He's having his hand up, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so much, people, for sticking on for such a long time. It's a long session, actually, 2 hours. So, and without a break. So I was just thinking in the well today, oh my God, 2 hours session. Because usually 1.5 hour session will have a small break, and then again a 1.5 hour session will happen. But this time it was a 2 hour session. So, but I had a great time. I think I really I actually live upon the enthusiasm of the audience itself, and I really found this audience as a very enthusiastic group. So thank you so much for keeping up my whenever I was asking something, a question in between, that is the time when I get the energy. So thank you so much for keeping up my energy too, and I look forward to meet you sometime if you come to the University of Madras. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I would like to thank
Amaleshwari ma'am, just 1 minute, just 1 minute only. Fazlunnisa ma'am and the team of Amaleshwari ma'am and School of Management DG, a wonderful work, because Fazlunnisa ma'am, you instilled the confidence in us that we can also be a social entrepreneur, taking up the thesis correction work and the paper writing work, and we also can earn ourselves. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to place on record thanks to Dr. Amaleshwari, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I told you, I met her once.
Pleasure is mine, because after listening to you, I wanted you to meet young minds, research scholars, academicians, because this your CAS is becoming very important. So when they submit articles at that moment, it should not give them some jittery feeling. So it was very useful, Dr. Fauzi.
Thank you. Thank you
can
so
go
much,
for
ma'am.
proposing the vote of thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Priya?
Yes. Thank you for all the valuable insights and thoughtful information, ma'am. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful event. I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished guest, Dr. Fazlunnisa, Assistant Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, University of Madras. A thankful heart is not only the greatest virtue, but the parent of all other virtues. With this quote, I'd like to thank all of you for making this event successful. And the link for feedback and attendance for today's session is shared in the chat box. I kindly request everyone to take a few minutes to fill them up. Submitting the attendance and feedback is mandatory for the issue of certification. Thank you so much for joining us all. Have a great night ahead.
Thank you, Priya. Can we all turn on the cameras for a quick group pic?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Lokeshwari. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
night.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.